My sister stood in my $850,000 home, declaring it was her wedding gift from Dad, while Mom nodded in agreement. I'd saved for 15 years, worked 2 jobs, sacrificed everything for this moment. My housewarming party was supposed to celebrate my achievement, not become a family ambush about fairness. But they didn't know about the stack of documents in my office. Every single receipt, every mortgage payment, every sacrifice, all bearing my name alone. This wasn't just about a house. It was about a lifetime of being the responsible one, while my sister got everything handed to her. Before we dive into this story, if you enjoy watching entitled family members get a reality check, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, what happens next is worth staying until the end. I'm Katherine Mitchell, but everyone calls me Kate. I'm 38 years old, and I'm standing in the kitchen of my dream home. A modern farmhouse with natural light streaming through oversized windows, exposed beams crossing the vaulted ceiling, and every single detail chosen by me. The marble countertops, the subway tile backsplash, the herb garden visible through the window above the farm sink, all mine. 15 years of grinding, saving, and sacrificing led to this moment. My guests were scattered throughout the open concept main floor, wine glasses in hand, admiring the space. My co-workers from the software firm clustered near the fireplace, genuinely happy for me. My neighbors, the Johnsons, were asking about the contractor I'd used. My best friend Sarah was playing hostess, refilling drinks and making sure everyone felt welcome. The energy was warm, authentic, celebratory. "Kate, this place is absolutely stunning," my colleague Jennifer said, running her hand along the custom built-ins flanking the fireplace. "You must be so proud." I smiled, feeling that rare sense of accomplishment settle in my chest. "Thank you. It's been a long road, but worth every sacrifice." And there had been sacrifices. 15 years ago, fresh out of state college with a degree in software engineering and $48,000 in student loans, I'd moved into a studio apartment in a questionable neighborhood. While my younger sister Madison was backpacking through Europe on my parents' dime, I was eating ramen and working 60-hour weeks. When Madison returned and needed help launching her first boutique, my parents wrote a check. When I needed help with a car repair, I got a lecture about financial responsibility. I worked my way up from junior developer to senior engineer. I took on freelance consulting projects nights and weekends. I drove a used Honda Civic for 12 years, while Madison got a brand new SUV as a graduation gift from our parents. Every bonus, every tax refund, every dollar I could squeeze from my budget went into my down payment fund. My phone buzzed on the counter. Mom's text, "We're on our way. Can't wait to see it." Something tightened in my chest. Sarah noticed immediately. She'd known me since college, had witnessed every family dynamic, every disappointment disguised as, "That's just how they are." "You okay?" she asked, touching my elbow. "You look tense." I waved it off, forcing brightness into my voice. "Just want everything perfect for when they see it." But that wasn't quite true. What I wanted was for them to finally see me, to acknowledge that I'd built something real, something substantial without their help, to maybe, just once, hear "We're proud of you" without a qualifier attached. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. My father stood on the porch in his typical khakis and polo shirt, my mother beside him in a floral dress, and behind them, Madison, my 35-year-old baby sister, golden-haired and perpetually surprised that life required effort, with her fiancé, Trevor, in tow. "Wow," my father said as he stepped inside. His first word wasn't "congratulations," it was "wow," followed by, "This is bigger than we thought." Not, "It's beautiful." Not, "You did it, Katie." Just an observation that contradicted whatever expectation he'd been carrying. My mother's eyes swept the space with an expression I couldn't quite read. She exchanged a glance with Madison that made my stomach drop. It was the look they'd perfected over the years, a silent communication that excluded me entirely. "Hi, everyone," I said too brightly. "Let me give you the tour." Madison was already walking through the living room, not with the curiosity of a first-time visitor, but with something else. Entitlement, maybe. She trailed her fingers along the back of my cream-colored sofa, studied the art I'd carefully selected for the walls, peered down the hallway toward the bedrooms. "This would be perfect for wedding photos," she said, stopping in front of the French doors leading to the backyard. "The light in here is incredible." Trevor was measuring spaces with his eyes in a way that made my skin crawl. "Great layout for entertaining our guests." I opened my mouth to redirect the conversation, but my father was already nodding thoughtfully. My mother said nothing, which was somehow worse than agreement. Sarah appeared at my elbow with fresh wine. "Actually," I said, trying to keep my voice light, "I'm planning to use that room as a home office. I've already ordered a desk and—" "Oh, Katie, always so uptight about plans," Madison interrupted, laughing. "It's just conversation. God, you're so serious about everything." My mother's voice was gentle but pointed. "Don't be possessive, dear." Family shares. The word possessive landed like a slap. I'd been called that before, whenever I'd tried to establish boundaries, claim something as mine, or resist their constant redistributing of my resources to Madison. I showed them the rest of the house, pointing out features I'd specifically chosen. The walk-in closet I'd designed, the bathroom with the clawfoot tub I'd hunted for at estate sales, the guest room I'd already set up. With each room, Madison's commentary grew more proprietary. "These bedrooms are a good size, perfect for getting ready. This bathroom could handle multiple people. The backyard is exactly what we've been looking for." Wait, what they'd been looking for? We returned to the main living area where the party was still in full swing. I tried to lose myself in conversations with friends, but I kept one eye on my family. Madison was on her phone, typing furiously and smiling. My parents stood together near the kitchen island, heads bent in quiet conversation. As guests began to leave, thanking me and congratulating me, I overheard Madison on a call near the front door. "Don't worry, I found the perfect place, and it won't cost us a dime." My blood went cold. Sarah squeezed my hand. "Did she just—" "I think so," I whispered. After the last guest left, my family remained. Trevor looked slightly uncomfortable, like he sensed something was off but couldn't name it. Madison was positively glowing. "So," my father said, settling onto my sofa like he owned it, "Madison mentioned she's still looking for a wedding venue." Here it comes, I thought. The place they had booked fell through, my mother added. Last-minute cancellation. It's been very stressful. Madison's eyes were wide and innocent. "And then I walked into your house today, Katie, and it's perfect. The space, the light, the flow. It's exactly what we've been dreaming of." "For what?" I asked, though I already knew. "For the wedding, silly," Madison laughed. "It's in 3 months. We've already sent the invitations, but now we need a new venue, and this house is literally perfect. Say you'll let us use it." The request, no, the demand, hung in the air. "Madison," I said carefully, "this is my home. I just moved in. I'm not—" "But it's family," my mother interrupted. "Surely you can accommodate your sister for 1 day?" "1 day?" I repeated. "A wedding isn't just 1 day. There's setup, rehearsal, the ceremony, reception, cleanup." "See?" Madison turned to our parents. "I told you she'd make this difficult." My father sighed heavily, the same sigh I'd heard my entire childhood whenever I'd failed to be sufficiently accommodating. "Katherine, your sister is in a bind. We can't afford another venue deposit after they lost the first one. You have the space. Why are you making this so complicated?" "Because it's my space," I wanted to scream. "Because I worked 15 years for this. Because you funded Madison's art degree and European adventures and business failures, and I got nothing. Because this house isn't family property. It's mine." But I said, "I need to think about it." "What's there to think about?" Madison's voice had an edge now. "I'm your sister." "I'm aware," I said quietly. "But this is a big ask, Madison. I just moved in. I haven't even finished unpacking." Trevor finally spoke. "Maybe we should look at other options, Maddie." Madison whirled on him. "Other options? We've been looking at other options. Everything decent is booked or outrageously expensive. This is the solution right here." "It's a family home," my mother said firmly. And family helps family. It's not a family home, I said, my voice sharper than intended. It's my home. The silence that followed was arctic. My father stood slowly. I think we should go. Katherine clearly needs time to think about what family means. They left without saying goodbye. Trevor looked back apologetically. Sarah emerged from the kitchen where she'd been giving us privacy. Holy shit, she breathed. Kate, they're really going to try to take this from you. They can't, I said, but my voice shook. Right? They can't actually take my house. That night, I lay in my new bedroom, in my new house, with my new mortgage entirely in my name, and wondered if I'd misunderstood something fundamental about my life. Had my parents contributed to this house somehow? Had there been some agreement I'd forgotten? No. I pulled up my banking records on my phone, scrolling through years of deposits, transfers, down payment savings. Every dollar mine. Every sacrifice mine. Every success mine. The next morning, I woke to 37 notifications. The family group chat had exploded overnight. Madison. So excited to finalize wedding venue details. Kate's house is perfect. Thank you so much, sis. Aunt Linda. How generous. Cousin Jen. Can't wait to see it. My father. Knew you'd come through, Katie. That's my girl. I typed. Wait, what? I never agreed to this. No one responded to me directly. The conversation continued as if I hadn't spoken. Uncle Mike. Nice of Kate to share the family home. Family home. Family home. The phrase made my hands shake. I called my father. He answered on the third ring. Dad, I didn't agree to host Madison's wedding. Don't be dramatic, Katherine. Your mother and I discussed it, and it makes perfect sense. You have the space. Madison needs a venue. It's settled. It's not settled. This is my house. I get to decide. Don't be selfish. Your sister only gets married once. Dad, we'll talk about this later. I'm at work. He hung up. I called my mother. She didn't answer. I texted, Mom, we need to talk about this wedding venue situation. Her response came an hour later. Why are you making this so difficult? Do you hate your sister? I tried calling Madison directly. She sent me to voicemail, then texted, If you have something to say it to everyone. We're all family here. Over the next week, the pressure intensified. Extended family members I barely spoke to were suddenly reaching out. Heard you're hosting Madison's wedding. So generous. My coworkers started asking about it. Apparently, Madison had told mutual acquaintances. Even my neighbors mentioned it. Your sister stopped by with a wedding planner yesterday. She said you gave her a key. I definitely had not given her a key. The gaslighting was systematic and thorough. Every time I tried to assert that I hadn't agreed to this, I was met with confusion. But your sister said, Your parents told us. I thought it was all decided? I began to doubt my own sanity. Had I somehow agreed without realizing? Was there a conversation I'd forgotten? Had my medication for anxiety made me black out a crucial moment? Then I found my therapist's card in my wallet and called for an emergency session. Dr. Reeves listened to the entire story without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned forward. Kate, do you hear yourself? They're erasing your achievement. They're taking something you worked 15 years to earn and treating it like community property. Your feelings of confusion? That's gaslighting. You know you didn't agree to this. But what if I'm being selfish? Is it selfish to have boundaries around your own home? The question sat between us. In your family, Dr. Reeves continued, you've been cast as the capable one, the one who doesn't need support, the one who should give endlessly because you're strong enough. But Kate, being strong doesn't mean being a doormat. I went home and sat in my living room, the room Madison wanted for wedding photos. I thought about my childhood, about every time I'd been told to share while Madison was allowed to hoard. Every time I'd been praised for being mature, while Madison was excused for being creative. Every time I'd achieved something and the response was, that's nice, while Madison's smallest efforts earned celebrations. The pattern had always been there. I'd just been too close to see it. My phone rang. Dad. Katie Bear, he said, using my childhood nickname. Let's talk reasonably. The old nickname, the softened tone. I recognized the manipulation now, but part of me still wanted to believe. Maybe they'd finally understood. Maybe this would be the moment they saw me. Maybe we rushed this, he continued. Let's meet and discuss it calmly. Find a solution together. Hope flickered in my chest. Okay. When? Tomorrow. Come to our house for dinner. We'll work this out as a family. I should have known better. I arrived at my parents' house the next evening with a folder of documents, my mortgage papers, my deed, my closing statement. Everything proving the house was mine alone. I was prepared to calmly explain why hosting a wedding in a home I'd just moved into wasn't feasible. I walked into an ambush. My parents' living room was full. Aunt Linda, Uncle Mike, Cousin Jen, my grandmother, even my father's brother who I hadn't seen in years. Extended family filled the sofas and chairs. Madison sat on the ottoman, Trevor beside her looking distinctly uncomfortable. What's going on? I asked. We wanted everyone here, my mother said, so we could discuss this as a family. No more private conversations where things get miscommunicated. A trap. This was a trap. Kate! Madison's eyes were already red, tears threatening. I don't understand why you hate me. I don't hate you, I said, feeling the walls close in. Then why won't you help me? Her voice broke. My wedding is ruined and you have the power to fix it, but you won't. I looked around the room. Every face showed disappointment, directed at me. Maddie needs help now, my father said, his voice grave and authoritative. You're already established. You have your career, your home. She's just starting her life with Trevor. It's only fair that you help your sister. Fair? The word tasted bitter. I always intended to give you girls equal inheritances, Dad continued. Madison needs help now. You needed help earlier, when you bought the house. My blood went cold. I didn't get help buying the house. I saved for 15 years. I paid the down payment myself. The mortgage is in my name only. But it was always understood, my mother said smoothly, that the house would be a family asset, an early inheritance, if you will. That was never discussed. My voice was rising. Don't raise your voice to your mother, my father snapped. Madison was crying openly now. I always knew you resented me. I always felt it. Madison gets to use the house for the wedding, my mother said, her tone final. Then we'll work out the details of shared ownership. The room spun. Shared ownership? It's my house. My name is on the deed. I paid for it. Technically, my father said, we paid for your education. $12,000, I shouted. You paid $12,000 toward my state school education. I paid back $48,000 in student loans. Madison's private art school was $87,000, which you paid in full. Aunt Linda shifted uncomfortably. Numbers made people uncomfortable. That's not the point, my mother said. The point is family. Then why am I the only one expected to prove it? I asked. Trevor spoke quietly. Maybe we should look at other options, Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell. Stay out of this, Trevor, Madison snapped, then turned back to me with streaming tears. Just say yes, Katie, please. I need this. You don't need a house this big anyway. The words hung there. You don't need. As if need was the requirement for keeping what you'd earned. I looked at my grandmother, hoping for support. She'd always been kind to me, but she looked away. Don't embarrass this family, Katherine, my father said coldly. How am I the one embarrassing us? After all we sacrificed for you, my mother began. What did you sacrifice for me, specifically? The question erupted. Name one thing you sacrificed for me that you didn't also do, or do more of, for Madison. Silence. Then my father stood, his face red. How dare you throw our love in our faces? We fed you, we clothed you, we raised you, and this is the gratitude we get? Basic parenting as debt to be repaid. I saw it clearly now. I need to leave, I said. If you walk out that door, my father said, don't expect us to forget this. I walked out. Sarah's words echoed as I drove home. They're really going to try to take this from you. Not just the house, my peace, my boundaries, my sense of reality. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my beautiful home that suddenly felt like a prison. I pulled up childhood photos on my phone, searching desperately for evidence that my parents had loved me equally, that I wasn't crazy, that this wasn't all in my head. What I found instead was evidence of difference. Madison's elaborate birthday parties, my sheet cake from the grocery store, Madison's college graduation celebration at a nice restaurant, my graduation dinner at Olive Garden where Dad complained about the breadstick costs, Madison's failed business ventures framed as brave attempts, my successful career as she always was a workaholic. The pattern was undeniable once I stopped trying to deny it. Around 3 a.m., I found myself on the kitchen floor having a panic attack, my chest tight, unable to breathe, the room spinning. Was I crazy? Was I selfish? What was one day compared to family? Maybe I should just let her have the wedding. Maybe then they'd finally love me the way they loved her. Maybe then I'd be enough. My phone buzzed with another notification. The family group chat. Cousin Jen. Can't believe Kate is being so difficult about this. Disappointing. I didn't remember Cousin Jen attending my college graduation, or my 30th birthday, or calling when I got my promotion last year. But suddenly she had opinions about my generosity. I couldn't go to work the next day, called in sick, didn't shower, barely ate, just sat in my living room staring at the walls I'd chosen, the floors I'd selected, the life I'd built. Sarah came by around noon, letting herself in with the spare key I'd given her. "Kate, you're scaring me," she said, taking in my appearance. "Am I crazy?" I asked her. "Tell me honestly, am I crazy for not wanting to host Madison's wedding? Are you serious right now? I don't know anymore. Everyone keeps saying, everyone is wrong." Sarah sat beside me. "Kate, would they do this if Madison bought a house?" The answer was obvious. No, they wouldn't. "Google something for me," Sarah said. "Family scapegoat versus golden child." I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, started reading articles. Each one described my life with painful accuracy. The scapegoat who could never do enough. The golden child who could do no wrong. The parents who required one child to be perpetually grateful for basic care while showering the other with unearned advantages. "Oh my God," I whispered. "You're not crazy," Sarah said. "They are, and you need to protect yourself." That night, still in my fog of confusion and despair, I received a text from my mother. "Madison and the wedding planner need access to the house tomorrow for measurements. I assume you'll provide a key?" No question, just assumption. I didn't respond. The next morning, I returned from a coffee run to find Madison's car in my driveway, and a white van marked Elegant Events Planning. They were already inside my house. I ran to the front door. It was unlocked. I burst inside to find Madison and a professional-looking woman in a business suit walking through my living room with a tablet and measuring tape. "What the hell?" I shouted. The wedding planner jumped. Madison didn't even look surprised. "Oh good, you're here," Madison said casually. "This is Veronica. She's helping us design the layout." "How did you get in?" "I told Mrs. Johnson next door it was a family emergency. She gave me the spare key you left with her." Madison smiled. "Weren't expecting that, were you?" Mrs. Johnson had a spare key for emergencies, like if I fell or locked myself out, not for my sister to grant herself access. "This is my house," I said, my voice shaking. Veronica looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, I was told you'd approved this?" "She's being dramatic," Madison said smoothly. "Kate, can you not embarrass me in front of vendors?" "Get out, both of you, now." 5 more minutes. We just need to finalize. "Get out!" Veronica was already packing up her things, clearly wanting no part of family drama. Madison, however, dropped her sweet act entirely. "What's the big deal?" she snapped. "You'll still live here after." "God, you're acting like I'm stealing the place." "You might as well be. You're making decisions about my home without my permission. Dad said you owe this to the family after everything they did for you." Madison's face was red now. "I need this, Kate, and you're being a selfish bitch about it." Veronica was almost to the door, mumbling apologies. "You know what?" Madison continued. "I always thought you were the good one, the responsible one. Turns out you're just a jealous petty. The front door opened. My parents walked in. Madison must have called them the moment I started yelling. "What's going on here?" my father demanded. "She's kicking me out," Madison wailed, tears appearing as if summoned. "I was just trying to plan my wedding, and she's screaming at me." "Because she broke into my house." "It's not breaking in when it's family property," my mother said coldly. "This isn't family property," I was shouting now. "It's mine, my name, my money, my mortgage." "Don't embarrass this family, Katherine," my father said, his voice low and dangerous. "We're handling this reasonably. You're having a tantrum." "A tantrum?" I couldn't breathe. "You think establishing boundaries is a tantrum?" "We'll discuss co-ownership arrangements after the wedding," my mother said, as if I hadn't spoken. "For now, Madison needs access to plan. Stop being difficult." "Get out," I whispered. "All of you. Get out of my house." "Katherine, get out!" I screamed it this time. "This is my house. I don't care what you think you're entitled to. Get out." My father's face went cold in a way I'd never seen before. "After all we sacrificed," he said slowly, "this is how you treat us." "What did you sacrifice?" I asked, my voice breaking. "What did you sacrifice for me?" My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. They had no answer, because there wasn't one. They left. Madison shot me a look of pure hatred on her way out. "You'll regret this," she said. The door closed. I sank to the floor in my entryway, in my house that I'd earned, and sobbed. That evening, alone in my beautiful home that felt contaminated by their presence, I made a decision. I pulled every document I owned, every receipt, every bank statement, every college loan payment, every mortgage statement, every proof that this house, this achievement, this life was mine. Then I started making calls. I sat on my kitchen floor, surrounded by 15 years of documentation. Bank statements dating back to my first paycheck out of college. Student loan payment confirmations. $48,000, paid in full by me. Down payment savings records. Mortgage approval letters. The deed with my name in bold type. Katherine Ann Mitchell, sole owner. Sarah found me there at midnight, still sorting papers into neat piles. "Kate," she said softly, kneeling beside me. "Talk to me." "I need to understand something," I said, my voice hoarse from crying. Would they do this to Madison? If she'd bought a house, would they demand I get to use it for free? Sarah didn't hesitate. No, they wouldn't. The simple truth of it settled over me. Not comforting, devastating, but clarity has its own kind of power. "I spent my whole life trying to earn their love," I whispered. "Being responsible, being low maintenance, never asking for help. And Madison got their love for free while demanding everything." "That's not love, Kate. Love doesn't require you to erase yourself." I looked at the documents spread across my floor, each one a piece of evidence that I had built this life alone, that I had never been the burden they implied I was, that their narrative, the one where I owed them eternal gratitude for basic parenting, was a lie. Something shifted in my chest. Not hope. Something harder. Anger. Clean, clear, righteous anger. "Help me organize these," I said, standing up. "Chronologically, I want every dollar I earned, every sacrifice I made, documented and ready." Sarah smiled. "That's my girl. What's the plan?" "I don't know yet, but I'm done apologizing for taking up space in my own life." The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I took a sick day, not because I was sick, but because I needed time to think. I sat in my home office with my laptop and started researching family scapegoat dynamics, narcissistic family systems, golden child versus scapegoat roles. Article after article described my childhood with painful precision. The child who could do no wrong versus the child who could do nothing right. The child whose needs were centered versus the child expected to have none. The child whose achievements were celebrated versus the child whose achievements threatened the family narrative. I found Reddit threads full of people sharing identical stories, YouTube videos analyzing these patterns, books written by therapists who specialized in family trauma. Each source validated what I'd been afraid to believe. I wasn't the problem. I had never been the problem. My phone buzzed constantly, family group chat messages I no longer read, voicemails from my mother I deleted without listening, text from Madison, "You're destroying this family." But I was done being the designated destroyer whenever I set a boundary. I called Dr. Reeves and got an emergency video session. "I see it now," I told her. "The whole pattern. How did I not see it before?" "Because you were in it," she said gently, "and because acknowledging it means grieving the family you thought you had. They never actually loved me, did they? Not for who I am. They loved what I could provide, the contrast that made Madison look better, the responsible one who required nothing so they could give everything to her. I can't tell you whether they love you or not, Kate, but I can tell you that their behavior is unhealthy, and you have every right to protect yourself from it. I'm going to set boundaries, real ones, and they're going to hate me for it. They already treat you poorly when you comply. At least this way, you'll have your self-respect." That afternoon, I called a lawyer. Rebecca Chen specialized in property law and family disputes. I explained the situation, my family's claims on my house, their insistence on shared ownership, their unauthorized entry. "Do they have any legal claim?" I asked. "None whatsoever. Your name is on the deed. You paid the mortgage. Unless they can prove financial contribution to the purchase, which it sounds like they can't, they have zero legal standing. What if they try to claim my parents gave me money? Did they? $12,000 toward college tuition 15 years ago. Nothing for the house. That wouldn't establish ownership even if it was relevant. Kate, this is your property. Full stop. Document everything. Save every text message where they claim ownership. Record phone conversations if you're in a one-party consent state, and consider sending a formal cease and desist letter. Will that make things worse? Things are already worse. This sets a legal boundary. If they violate it, you have grounds for a restraining order." I thanked her and hung up, feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Powerful. That evening, Trevor called, Madison's fiancé, calling me directly. "Kate, can we talk? Off the record?" "Okay." "I didn't know the full story about the house. Madison told me your parents gave it to both of you and you were just being difficult about sharing." "That's not what happened. I'm starting to realize that." He sighed. "My best man, Jake, he pulled me aside yesterday. Said this whole thing seems sketchy, that if your parents really gave you the house together, why isn't Madison's name on anything?" "Because they didn't give me the house. I bought it, myself, with money I saved for 15 years. Silence, then, "Jesus Christ." "Yeah. Kate, I'm sorry. I should have questioned this sooner. Madison gets intense when she wants something, and her parents always back her up, so I assumed that they were telling the truth. I'm really sorry." "Trevor, I appreciate this call, but you need to think carefully about what you're signing up for. This is who they are." After he hung up, I felt a small measure of hope. Not that it would change anything with my family, but that at least one person saw through the facade. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. "Katherine Mitchell?" A professional female voice. "Yes. This is Detective Morrison with the local police. We received a call from a Mrs. Patricia Mitchell regarding a property dispute. She claims you're illegally occupying a family home and preventing rightful owners from accessing it." My stomach dropped. "That's my mother, and she's lying." "Can you verify your ownership of the property at 47 Maple Grove Lane?" "Yes. I have the deed, the mortgage papers, everything. It's mine. Only my name. Can you come to the station with those documents? I'd like to get this cleared up." An hour later, I sat in a police station conference room with Rebecca Chen, my lawyer, who'd met me there. Detective Morrison reviewed my documents with increasing disapproval. Not at me, but at the situation. "Ms. Mitchell, your ownership is crystal clear. I'm going to note in the report that this is a family dispute with no legal merit. I'm also going to call your mother and explain that filing false reports wastes police resources." "Thank you." "For what it's worth," the detective said, "I see this more than you'd think. Family members who feel entitled to property they didn't earn. Stand your ground. You did nothing wrong." I drove home, feeling both vindicated and exhausted. They'd called the police on me, their own daughter, for the crime of refusing to hand over what I'd earned. Sarah was waiting on my porch with takeout and wine. "I'm not letting you be alone tonight," she said. "We're eating feelings and planning your next move." Over pad thai and Chardonnay, I laid out everything I'd learned. The psychology articles, the lawyer's advice, the police report. "So what now?" Sarah asked. "Now I make a choice. I can keep trying to explain myself to people who won't listen. Or I can show them the truth in a way they can't ignore. I vote for option 2. What did you have in mind?" I pulled out my laptop. "They've been telling everyone that this is a family home, that my parents gave it to me as an early inheritance, that Madison deserves equal access. They've created a narrative. And you're going to destroy it with facts. With receipts, literally." I spent the next 3 days preparing. I created a spreadsheet documenting every dollar my parents had spent on each of us from age 18 onward. College tuition, living expenses, cars, business investments. It was meticulous, backed by bank records I'd obtained, and devastating in its clarity. Madison, $155,000 in parental support. Kate, $15,000 in parental support. I gathered every document related to my house purchase. I created a timeline showing my 15-year savings journey. I compiled screenshots of Madison's social media posts claiming the house was her wedding venue, all posted before I'd agreed to anything, and I recorded the phone conversations. I lived in a one-party consent state, which meant I could legally record calls without the other person's knowledge. My father telling me I owed the family. My mother saying Madison deserved this more. Madison admitting she planned to discuss co-ownership after the wedding. Finally, I sent a message to the family group chat. "I'm hosting a family meeting at my house this Sunday at 2 p.m. Everyone is invited. We're going to clear up the confusion about my home and Madison's wedding once and for all. Please come prepared to listen." My mother responded immediately. "Finally, I knew you'd come to your senses." They thought I was surrendering. Sunday morning, I cleaned my house until it gleamed. Not for them. For me. I needed to remember what I'd built. Every surface I wiped down, every floor I vacuumed, every detail I'd chosen reminded me. This is mine. I earned this. Sarah arrived early. "You ready for this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." "Want me to stay?" "Please, I need a witness." At 1:45, my doorbell started ringing. Extended family poured in. Aunt Linda and Uncle Mike, Cousin Jen, my grandmother, even my father's brother, Uncle Rob, who I hadn't seen in 3 years. Madison and Trevor arrived looking triumphant. My parents came last, my mother already smiling like she'd won. "What's this about?" my father asked, settling onto my sofa like he belonged there. "We're here to celebrate," Madison said. "Kate finally agreed to host the wedding." "Actually," I said calmly, "I didn't. That's why we're all here, to address some misunderstandings." The room went quiet. I stood near the fireplace, my laptop connected to the TV. Sarah sat in the corner with her phone, recording everything. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice steady. "I want to address the confusion about this house and Madison's wedding venue." "There's no confusion," my mother said. "We've already explained." "Please let me finish." My father started to object, but Uncle Rob said quietly, "Let her speak, Tom. This house," I continued, "is not a wedding venue. This house will never be a wedding venue. This house is mine." Madison's face crumpled. "Katie, don't do this." "Let me be clear. Sole owner, Katherine Mitchell." I pulled up the first document on the screen. "Here's the deed. My name. Nobody else's." Murmurs rippled through the room. "But Dad said," Madison started. "Dad said what, exactly?" I looked at my father. "That you gave me this house? Let's examine that claim." I clicked to the next slide, my down payment records. $65,000 down payment, saved over 15 years. Here are the bank statements showing deposits from my paychecks, my consulting work, my bonuses. Notice whose name is on these accounts? The room was silent. Every mortgage payment for 5 years, every single one. My bank account, my money. I clicked through statement after statement. contractor bills for renovations, all paid by me, property taxes, paid by me, insurance, paid by me. Aunt Linda shifted uncomfortably. Numbers didn't lie. But Katherine, my mother said, her voice strained, we provided for you. We gave you. Let's talk about what you gave me. I clicked to my prepared spreadsheet. Here's a complete accounting of parental financial support from age 18 to present. The numbers appeared on the screen. Madison, college tuition, $87,000 living expenses during college, $32,000 post-college apartment support, $12,000 car purchase, $25,000 boutique business investment, $28,000 second business investment, $15,000 Europe trip, $8,000 total, $207,000. Kate, college tuition contribution, $12,000 total, $12,000. The silence was deafening. That can't be right, Cousin Jen said weakly. It's right. I have documentation for every dollar. I looked at my parents. You paid $12,000 toward my state school tuition. I paid back $48,000 in student loans, by myself. Meanwhile, you paid Madison's entire private art school tuition plus living expenses. We invested in Madison's dreams, my mother protested. And I invested in my own, which is exactly why this house is mine and only mine. Madison was crying now, but I couldn't stop. Not yet. Here's where it gets interesting. I clicked to the next slide. Screenshots of Madison's social media posts. Madison has been posting about this house as her wedding venue for 3 weeks, before I ever agreed to anything. The posts appeared on screen, time-stamped and damning. Wedding venue secured, thanks to the best parents. Can't wait to get married at the family home. So grateful for this amazing gift. Trevor's face had gone white. I'm tagged in these posts, I continued. People have been congratulating me for sharing the family home. Except I never agreed. I was never asked. It was decided for me, then presented as fact. Uncle Rob cleared his throat. Tom, did you actually give Kate this house? My father's jaw tightened. That's not the point. The point is family obligation. So that's a no, Uncle Rob said flatly. I have recordings, I said quietly. With everyone's permission, I'd like to play them. Recordings? My mother's face went pale. You recorded us? One-party consent state. Perfectly legal. I clicked play. My father's voice filled the room. Kate owes us. She'll cave. She always does. My mother. Madison deserves this more. Kate chose career over family. This is the consequence. Madison. She's too weak to say no. She never could stand up to us. The audio played for 2 minutes. When it ended, no one spoke. Trevor stood up slowly. You told me, he said to Madison, his voice shaking, that Kate's parents gave her this house and she was just being selfish about sharing it. They did give it to her, Madison sobbed. Morally, they raised her. She owes us. They raised her, Trevor repeated. That's called being a parent. That's not a debt. He turned to look at me. Kate, I am so sorry. I had no idea. My grandmother, who'd been silent this whole time, spoke up. Patricia, Thomas, what have you done? Mother, you don't understand, my father began. I understand perfectly. You've treated Katherine like a bank account while spoiling Madison rotten, and now you're trying to steal her home. My grandmother stood, her voice sharp. I'm ashamed of you both. She walked over to me and took my hand. Katherine, I'm sorry. I should have seen this sooner. Aunt Linda was pulling out her phone, probably texting the family members who hadn't come. Uncle Mike looked sick. Cousin Jen was staring at the spreadsheet still displayed on the TV. $200,000, she whispered. You gave Madison $200,000 and Kate got 12? We supported Kate in other ways, my mother insisted. Name one, I said coldly. We loved you. We raised you. You raised both of us. So by your logic, Madison should have also received $12,000 in college support and $48,000 in loans to repay. But that didn't happen, did it? My father stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. Katherine, you're being vindictive and cruel. Over what? Letting your sister use a space you're not even using? Vindictive? I pulled out the final document. Here's the police report from when Mom called the cops on me, claiming I was illegally occupying family property. Here's the cease and desist letter my lawyer prepared in case you continue to harass me. Here's the documentation of Madison and a wedding planner entering my home without permission, using a key obtained through deception. Rebecca had helped me prepare all of it. You called the police on her? Uncle Rob stood now too, facing my father. Tom, what the hell is wrong with you? She was being unreasonable. She owns the house. There's nothing reasonable about demanding she host a wedding in a home she just bought. The room erupted in arguments. Madison was hysterical. My mother was trying to control the narrative, her voice getting higher and shriller. My father was red-faced and sputtering. Trevor was gathering his things. My grandmother was lecturing my parents. Extended family members were arguing with each other. Sarah caught my eye from the corner and gave me a thumbs up. I waited for the chaos to die down. It took 10 minutes. I want you all to leave now, I said finally. This is my home. I set the boundaries here. And the boundary is, this discussion is over. Katherine, please. My mother reached for me. I stepped back. Don't. I need time. A lot of time. Away from all of you. How much time? She asked, tears streaming down her face. I don't know. Maybe forever. I'll let you know. You can't cut us off, Madison shrieked. We're your family. Family doesn't treat each other like this, I said. You taught me that today. One by one, they left. Some apologized, some glared. Madison and my parents were the last to go, still arguing with each other in my driveway. Trevor paused at the door. For what it's worth, I'm calling off the wedding. I need time to think about who I'm marrying. After they were gone, Sarah and I sat in silence for a long moment. How do you feel? She asked. Free, I whispered. Terrified and sad and angry, but free. The next few weeks were brutal. My phone exploded with messages from family members taking sides. Half supported me. Half thought I was cruel and dramatic. I blocked the second half without regret. Madison's wedding was officially postponed. The family rumor mill said Trevor ended the engagement entirely. My parents stopped speaking to me. Extended family members who'd witnessed the meeting started calling my parents out on their favoritism. Cracks appeared in the family's perfect facade. My mother sent a letter, a real, handwritten letter. It arrived 2 weeks after the meeting. Dear Katherine, it began, your father and I have been talking. We realize we may have handled things poorly. May have. Poorly. Not, we were wrong. Not, we're sorry. The letter continued with vague references to misunderstandings and different perspectives, and hope we can move past this. It ended with, we love you and hope you'll reconsider this estrangement. I read it once, then I put it in a drawer, unopened. Sarah found me in my home office later that day, working on a blog post. What you writing? Something that might help other people. I turned the laptop so she could see the title, The Scapegoat's Guide to Freedom. How I Reclaimed My Life from a Toxic Family. You're going public with this? Anonymously. But yes, if my story can help even one person recognize the pattern and get out, it's worth it. The blog post went viral. Thousands of people shared their own stories in the comments. Messages flooded my anonymous email, this is exactly my family. I thought I was crazy. Thank you for putting words to this. I started speaking at conferences about family boundaries and financial abuse. I volunteered with a support group for adult children of narcissistic parents. I turned my pain into purpose. 3 months after the meeting, Trevor reached out. He'd completely ended things with Madison. I saw what she became when she didn't get her way, he wrote. The mask dropped. I'm grateful to you for showing me before I legally tied myself to that family. You saved me, Kate. 6 months later, my younger cousin, the one who'd asked questions during the meeting, called me. Kate, I need advice. I'm starting to see the same pattern in my family. My sister gets everything while I'm expected to just deal with it. Tell me more, I said, and spent 2 hours helping her document her experiences and set her first boundary. A year after the meeting, I hosted a real housewarming party. Just chosen family, Sarah, coworkers who'd become genuine friends, neighbors who'd supported me, my grandmother, Uncle Rob and his family, and 3 women I'd met through the support group. We toasted to freedom, to authenticity, to building lives that belonged to us alone. My parents sent a card. I didn't open it. I put it in the drawer with the letter. Maybe someday I'd be ready to face whatever was inside. Maybe not. Either way was okay. I stood in my kitchen, in my house, in my life, and looked around at people who celebrated me instead of trying to diminish me. People who respected my boundaries instead of punishing me for having them. People who loved me for who I was, not what I could provide. "Speech!" Sarah called out. I raised my glass. "They say you can't choose your family, but that's not quite true. You can't choose the family you're born into, but you can choose the family you build. Thank you for choosing me." Later, after everyone left, I sat alone in my living room. The room Madison had wanted for wedding photos. The room that was mine and only mine. I thought about the girl I'd been, desperate for approval, willing to erase herself to earn love, convinced that her worth came from her usefulness. And I thought about the woman I'd become, clear-eyed, boundaried, free. The house had never really been about the house. It had been about refusing to hand over my self-respect with the keys. My phone buzzed, an email notification from my blog. Another person thanking me for sharing my story. Another scapegoat finding the courage to claim their own life. I smiled and started typing a response. Because the best revenge wasn't destroying them. It was building a life so authentic, so peaceful, so completely mine that their chaos couldn't touch it anymore. My $850,000 house wasn't just a financial investment. It was proof that I'd survived despite them, not because of them. It was evidence that being the strong one didn't mean being a doormat. It was a monument to the truth that your achievements aren't family property. They're proof you survived being treated as if you were. And that was worth more than any inheritance, any approval, any false family peace could ever be. I was free. Finally, completely, undeniably free. And I'd never felt wealthier in my life.